Good morning. I'm Valerie Martin. I'm a member of this congregation. I'm going to lead our hymns today. We'll begin with number 73, Chant for the Seasons. So you can stand as you are in body or in spirit as you are willing. Number 73, we're just going to sing the summer verse. So that's that bottom verse. We'll repeat the first part a couple of times and then we will sing through. Number 86, Blessed Spirit. Number 210, Wade in the Water.
In
repeats get me every time. Please turn and greet your neighbor.
Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. Blessed is the flame that burns in the heart's secret places. Blessed is the heart with strength to stop its beating for honor's sake. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. This one, by the way.
Out of our separate lives we come, to walk this path together for an hour or a day, for a week or a month or a series of months and years. For this space of time we travel together, making much or little or nothing at all of the fact that another walks beside us. We keep our eyes cast down, protecting ourselves from the pain that we risk whenever we allow another human being to touch us, living safe little lives inside our sterile wrappings. Or we can reach out, risking a little or a lot or every coin we have, because we believe that to love and be loved is the only game in town. The choice is ours. Those who risk much can lose much, but they are the only ones who ever win. Our story today is about trying something new. I don't know if you've heard of it before. It's called Green Eggs and Ham. Might ring a bell. So I'll be playing two parts for this story, so humor my split personality today. I am Sam. I am Sam. Sam I am. That's Sam I am. That's Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. Would you like them here or there? I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you like them in a house? Would you like them with a mouse? I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you eat them in a box? Would you eat them with a fox? Not in a box, not with a fox, not in a house, not with a mouse. I would not eat them here or there. I would not eat them anywhere. I would not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you, could you, in a car? Eat them, here they are. I would not, could not in a car. You may like them, you will see. You may like them in a tree. I would not, could not in a tree. Not in a car, you let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. A train, a train, a train, a train. Could you, would you on a train? Not on a train, not in a tree, not in a car. Sam, let me be. I would not, could not in a box. I could not, would not with a fox. I will not eat them with a mouse. I will not eat them in a house. I will not eat them here or there. I will not eat them anywhere. I do not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Say, in the dark, here in the dark, would you, could you, in the dark? I would not, could not, in the dark. Would you, could you, in the rain? I would not, could not, in the rain. Not in the dark, not on a train, not in a car, not in a tree. I do not like them, Sam, you see. Not in a house, not in a box, not with a mouse, not with a fox. I will not eat them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. You do not like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. Could you, would you, with a goat? I would not, could not with a goat. Would you, could you, on a boat? I could not, would not on a boat. I will not with a goat. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them on a train. Not in the dark, not in a tree, not in a car. You let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. You do not like them. So you say, try them, and you may. Try them, and you may, I say. Sam, if you will let me be, I will try them. You will see. Say, I like green eggs and ham? I do. I like them, Sam I am. And I will eat them in the rain and in the dark and on a train and in a car and in a tree. They are so good, you see. So I will eat them in a box, and I will eat them with a fox, and I will eat them in a house, and I will eat them with a mouse. I will eat them here and there. I will eat them anywhere. Say, I will eat them anywhere. I do so like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam I am. We will now sing our children out with the words found on the inside cover of the gray hymnal.
morning. My name is Dylan Gouch-Lewis, and for all intents and purposes, I am a member of this congregation. I'm holding out for the snazzy wooden name tags to come back. And it's my pleasure to welcome you here in the sanctuary and to those of you joining us online to worship this morning. In order to reach a wider community than those able to be physically here this morning, portions of the service are live streamed and available on YouTube and on our website at thefun.org. Before I continue, let me remind you to please silence your cell phones. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths may vary, but in this congregation we have a covenant together. We affirm interdependence, celebrate differences, and work for justice. We deepen our relationships as we create a compassionate, welcoming community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world. I'd like to extend a special welcome to visitors worshiping with us this morning. We ask you to wear the paper name tags because it helps us to get to know you better. If you're seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you may find it here. Whether you're new to Unitarian Universalism or visiting from another UU congregation, we invite you to stop by the welcome table after the service to have questions answered. People become members of this congregation by signing the membership book and supporting the church with their time and finances. If you're considering joining the church, please talk to our assistant minister, Holly Mueller, right there. Following the service, we hope everyone will enjoy coffee and fellowship in the social area, where you will also find information about current opportunities for engagement and reflection. There are a number of announcements in the weekly bulletin, which I hope you will take home and read, and I have one more from the membership committee. The committee is hosting a Meet the Minister lunch after the second service today. If you're interested in learning more about this congregation or Unitarian Universalism, bring your questions and your appetite at 12:30 to Classroom A and join us for lunch, fellowship, and conversation. Thank you.
In our lives, we come across moments of deep relief, bright happiness, and arresting loss. There are joys that we would not keep to ourselves and pains that we cannot. At this time, you may come forward, and our chaplain, Kathy Chang, will help you place a stone into the bowl of water for the joy or concern that you carry within. If you'd like to share this joy or concern, you may write it out on the yellow slips of paper that you'll find in the pews and bring them forward to me to be read. May this be a time when you are present with your whole self. Hold this joy in our hearts, and also all the joys and concerns that we carry within our own minds and souls as we enter into the spirit of prayer. Spirit of transformation, grant us the spark of imagination, and the space to daydream. Give us the bravery to create that which is only a thought. Spirit of transformation, grant us the strength to create with our losses and our heartbreaks that we didn't want, and to continue on as the world changes around us. Help us to shape that world and remember that we do so as part of a larger creation. May it be so. The hope of this community is to encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and in action. We will now take an offering that allows us to enact that all-important generosity of spirit. We are currently sharing our plate with Tennessee Interfaith Power and Light, and half of the loose cash collected today will go to fund their work in our community. The gifts of this congregation will now be most gratefully received. Our reading today is from an article about the comedian Stephen Colbert, who I like to think of as one of my favorite theologians. Stephen Colbert is the youngest of 11 kids, and his father and two of his brothers, the two who were closest to him in age, were killed in a plane crash when he was 10. His older siblings were all off to school and on with their lives by then, and so it was just him and his mother at home for many years. For the several years after this, he did next to nothing academically. There was no way to threaten me, he said. It was like, what? What's that? Oh, okay, I might get a bad grade? Oh no, wouldn't want that. He was completely traumatized, of course. And one way of contending with the cruel indifference of the universe is to be indifferent in return. But Colbert was also raised in a deeply Catholic intellectual family, and so his rebellion against the world was curiously self-driven and thoughtful. He refused to do anything that his teachers required of him, but would come home every day and shut himself in his room and read book after book after book. Later, when he was in college and exposed to improv, he was immediately compelled. I have to do that, he said. And he describes the advice of the improv director of Second City, Jeff Michalski. The most important lesson he would pass on to them was this: you have to learn to love the bomb, to love failing up there in front of everyone. It took me a really long time to understand what that meant, Colbert said. It wasn't, don't worry, you'll get it next time. It wasn't, laugh it off. No. It means what it says. You gotta learn to love when you're failing. The embracing of that, the discomfort of failing in front of an audience, leads you to penetrate through the fear that blinds you. Fear is the mind killer. He said that he trained himself, not just on stage, but every day in life, even in his dream states, to steer toward fear rather than away from it. I like to do things that are publicly embarrassing, he said, to feel the embarrassment touch me and sink into me and then be gone. I like getting on elevators and singing too loudly in that small space. The feeling that you feel is almost like a vapor. The discomfort and the wishing that it would end comes around you. I would do things like that and just breathe it in. He stopped and took a deep yogic breath when he was telling me this, and then slowly shook his head. Nope, can't kill me. This thing can't kill me. The interviewer asked him how much he connected that urge to his training and how much he felt that it had roots into that deeper and painful part of his life. Was it at one point purely a defense mechanism against the pain he had experienced? Stephen Colbert said, obviously there's something defensive about it. What you're doing is sipping little bits of arsenic so that you can't be poisoned by the rest of your discomfort.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join me for hymn 99, Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen.
I invite you to settle into your seat, to let your eyes close softly, to take a deep breath in and let it out. Place your feet on the floor and let your hands rest comfortably. As we move into a time of meditative silence, I invite you to contemplate the discomfort in your own life and how it might be transformed. May it be so. Now, it's no secret from our readings today or from the life that you live every day that discomfort, it can hold us back when we let it. Now, when I'm talking about discomfort, I mean a feeling of unease, perhaps slight embarrassment, a lack of certainty. I do not mean the nagging feeling that our instincts give us when something is wrong. I don't mean the sense of fear we feel when we're in danger. I mean that sort of uncomfortable, prickly feeling we have when something is unfamiliar, when it is outside of our control. Where our instincts might warn us that we'll hurt ourselves if we jump off the roof and into a pool, our discomfort instead tells us the lie that we'll hurt ourselves if we strike up a conversation with a stranger. As living creatures, we are hardwired both to seek safety and to continue evolving. We are no different from other creatures in this way, in balancing the risks that we take towards improving and growing with the necessary steps that we take to protect ourselves. In humans, we often talk about this in terms of the comfort zone and the ways in which we need to get out of it to grow. Now, to start, I hate a lot of the rhetoric that we hear around comfort. I think that it is overly demonized. There's this saying that life begins when you get beyond your comfort zone, but if we're going to be literal about it and we assume that the womb is a comfortable place, then this is not true. Life begins very much in the comfort zone. We begin with comfort, and I think we also deserve to end with comfort. In both our long lifespan and the way in which we entered into and leave this life, and also in each and every ordinary Tuesday, I think it is fair and needed to bookend our hectic lives with moments of safety and contentedness. Both comfort and discomfort have places in our lives, and we can get into trouble when we lose the balance of the two, when we exhaust ourselves in constant challenge, or when we stifle ourselves in the safety of what is comfortable. Now, I'm going to guess that some of you have heard the story for all ages before today. I'm going to guess that most of you have heard it about 1 million times. And I chose it today, not just because it shows us the simple lesson that we can benefit from trying new things, but also to show us that trying new things and pushing ourselves is uncomfortable and hard. It doesn't matter that what we risk is sometimes only as small as trying a new food. In the mind of our grumpy protagonist this morning, it seemed awful and not worth it. Dr. Seuss shows us both how motivating our discomfort can be and also how we can move beyond that discomfort. Our picky eating protagonist this morning did not change alone. Left to his own devices, he would never have tried green eggs and ham. Instead, it was in his relationship with another person that he was able to do something different. And this is true for us too. Sometimes another person will push us towards growth, just like Sam-I-Am did. And much like in the story, sometimes we will hate it. Sometimes we will kick and scream and drag our feet throughout the entire ordeal. And while this is uncomfortable for both us and those around us, it's okay. We are not tasked to like change. We are not tasked to like being uncomfortable. We are just tasked to use it for our own growth, whether we like it or not. And sometimes our relationships can help us in the opposite, more positive way. Instead of forcing us into discomfort, like Sam did, sometimes others can gently invite us into discomfort with them and helping us to feel more comfortable changing or trying something new. In the way that it's easier to go try a new class if a friend will come with you, or go to a new church with your partner. Sometimes our relationships can allow us to bring part of our comfort with us as we move into discomfort, giving us a boldness that it can be very hard to find alone. Too often, I think, when we contemplate trying something new, going into a new uncomfortable space, we make it way harder for ourselves than it needs to be. We think we have to do this big, hard, pristine thing, and we have to do it all by ourselves. We think we have to move out across the country and take out huge amounts of student loans to go to an Ivy League college, when we could start with a community college class in our own town. And this idea of making discomfort easier brings me to the second lesson from our story, that we get to try different ways to challenge ourselves. Although he was ultimately bullied into trying green eggs and ham, which I am not condoning, he was offered many variations on how to do this new and unappealing thing. And we can do the same thing for ourselves. We can ask ourselves if it might be easier in a house or with a mouse. And if we are contemplating a new scary thing, we can brainstorm different ways to do it. We can see it as an experiment. We can think of ways that entering into that new space might be more manageable. If green eggs and ham this morning gave us some insight into how to leave our comfort zone, then Stephen Colbert gives us insight into what our discomfort is with discomfort. We fear the unknown. We fear the consequences of a new action, the reactions of others when we do something differently, like singing in an elevator. In Colbert's tragic loss of his father and his brothers, he was stripped of some of his fear of the unknown. He understood the harder truth beneath it of loss and tragedy, and so he was not easily influenced by the softer discomfort of punishment or bad grades. He had a sense of real and undeniable consequences, as opposed to the more malleable social consequences of going against the grain. He knew real pain, and so he did not so much fear a lack of comfort. When he discovered improv, he built on this knowledge by seeking out discomfort for its own sake, by taking away the sting of embarrassment, by owning his discomfort, by understanding that the real fears or beyond the control of social convention. He was liberated. By learning to love the bomb, he was able to walk around, to go on stage without fearing failure. He has highlighted for us that what we really fear is not going to happen because of the small discomforts and embarrassments that we contend with every day. So much of what we are trying to avoid when we avoid discomfort are those bigger fears, not the discomfort itself. If I approach a new person and they don't want to talk, am I unlovable? If I apply to that job and I don't get it, am I stupid and incompetent? We project onto the outside world the insecurities and the fears that we are carrying within. And when we try to avoid them, when we run away from the discomforts of these new and unknown experiences, then we are telling ourselves that our fears are true. We are not just missing opportunities for growth and for success. We are reinforcing the negative things that we tell ourselves as well. And yet, if we strike up a conversation with someone new and they don't want to talk, we're going to find out that the world did not end. We will find that our discomfort, perhaps warranted, didn't kill us. We'll find that that fear of being unlovable didn't come true because it wasn't dictated by a single social interaction, that all the people who were in our lives before that moment are still there. Now, obviously, Stephen Colbert paid a pretty high price for this wisdom that I hope that none of us here today ever have to pay. And I'm not even suggesting that we take up improv or seek out embarrassment at every turn. But I am suggesting that we learn from his approach to fear, that we embrace the discomfort long enough to get to the other side of what we fear, so that the fear of the unknown does not rule us. Colbert has shown us how to free ourselves by inviting discomfort in, by making it our friend instead of our enemy. Now, I'm no Stephen Colbert, as I'm guessing you've noticed in more than one way. And I can't be quite so deliberate. I'm not ready to go and sing loudly in an elevator with a bunch of strangers. But I have made peace with discomfort in my own way. I have a fair amount of anxiety and uncertainty. I've always felt things very keenly, slow to get over heartbreak and fast to pick up on tension with others. I worry too much and I feel too responsible for the feelings of other people. As a child, I was very thin-skinned, and it's kind of amazing that any of my friends or family will still talk to me when I came home crying every single day. Now, thankfully, my skin has gotten thicker over the years, but I still frequently walk around with that uncomfortable feeling of a stomach full of question marks. And for years, for most of my life, I thought of this as a liability. As a kid, it was embarrassing and inconvenient. I thought it was a weakness, a character flaw, a part of myself that I needed to try and hide, to tuck away, to pretend like I wasn't uncomfortable, like I wasn't upset, like I wasn't nervous and uncertain. And it wasn't until 4 or 5 years ago, when I started working as a hospital chaplain, that I realized the gift that my discomfort has been over all these years. It has made me comfortable being uncomfortable. When I feel uncertainty or sadness, I don't get rattled or incapacitated. This has allowed me to be with people who are grieving, who are receiving bad news and hurting, without my needing to run away, without shutting down or trying to distract from the situation. All those years of feeling anxious and unsure have not only grown my empathy and my ability to recognize the feelings of others, It has also allowed me to enter into uncomfortable situations without losing my cool. This realization that there was a gift in my sensitivity and discomfort, that it was a two-sided coin and not just a character flaw, was huge. My discomfort has made me brave. Not in any big or flashy ways. It has just made me good at not running away. It has wired my brain such that discomfort is not a warning signal to retreat. It's more just sort of an annoying background noise that's usually in my head. And while I haven't yet learned to love the bomb, I do love the feeling that has come from experiencing discomfort so often, which is the sense that I may not like whatever comes next, but I will live through it, and the odds are pretty good that I will handle it well enough. And this is the difference between being comfortable and being composed. I've spent enough time in unpredictable, intense situations that even when I am not comfortable at all, I can keep my composure. I've learned that not being able to control others and not being able to control or predict the outcome of events doesn't make me lose control over myself. If I'm with a patient who is screaming and crying or taking out all of their anger and sadness on me, I maybe cannot stop them, but I still get to choose how I act. And because of this sense that my discomfort has made me able to withstand these things, I've come to think of discomfort as a muscle. It is something that we can strengthen or something that can become weaker if we don't use it for a long time. We can get a little bit better at it every day by seeking out discomfort, by staying a little bit longer than we want to in an awkward conversation, by allowing ourselves to feel that vapor of discomfort all around us that Colbert describes, and then watch it evaporate and see that we are still standing there whole. And like a muscle, because of how it serves us, it does not necessarily need to be the strongest muscle ever to meet our needs. Sort of how like we don't all need to be bodybuilders, but it's good that our muscles have strength. We don't all have to be Stephen Colbert, but we could all stand to strengthen our discomfort muscle. And also like a muscle, we need rest. We need the rest and the comfort just as much as we need the challenge and the discomfort. We need spaces that are familiar, that allow us to let our guard down and enjoy life without worrying about protecting ourselves or predicting the next outcome. And as we think about this idea of rest and challenge, comfort and discomfort, it is worth saying that some of us are more challenged than others. And this can be true in a couple of ways. It can be internal, for those of us who struggle with anxiety or depression or many forms of mental illness. The truth is that for some of us, simply getting through a whole day of work or school may use up all of the discomfort muscle that we have built up. And for some of us, these challenges can be more external. It can be very uncomfortable in our world to be a minority, to be a woman in a male-dominated field, or a person of color in a mostly white organization, to be a queer person in a heteronormative society. It can take a lot out of you to constantly wonder how you are being perceived, whether you need to protect yourself, where you can fight for opportunity. And this is not to say that all marginalized people or people with mental illness experience it the same way, but it is to say that we need to have grace for one another, to remember that the world is inherently more comfortable for some of us than it is for others. When we blindly praise discomfort, we forget how tiring it is, and that so often it is not a choice, but a necessity of existing in the world we live in the mind and the body that we have. And because of this, as much as I hope that we can all work on inviting discomfort in and making it our friend, I invite all of you to seek comfort as well. Sometimes, if you've had a long day, it's okay to skip that party where you don't know a lot of people. It's healthy to seek out spaces with other people who you identify with. We are not called to be challenged 100% of the time. We are called to examine our discomforts and to move beyond them, and also to take care of ourselves along the way. At its roots, discomfort hints to us of the unknown, that we are in a situation that we cannot predict, no matter how much we want to. And yet, to be alive is to be constantly transforming and evolving into the unknown. And so I invite each of you to examine where discomfort is holding back your own transformation. I invite you to ask yourself what fears are lurking within, which insecurities you're validating when you avoid your discomfort. You can brainstorm who may be able to help you this, what might be able to make it a little less scary. And I always invite you to take care of yourselves, to give yourself a break and enjoy the comfort and the love that you have in this life. Most of all, I invite you to lean into your own growth, into that lifelong transformation that is already blooming. May it be so.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn number 153, Oh, I Woke Up This Morning.
The words to the chalice extinguishing can be found at the bottom of the order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Let us learn to see through the clouds of self-doubt and the mirages of discomfort, that we do not miss the potential beyond. This service is over. May our service begin again renewed.